TG Geeks, episode 202, December 31st, 2018. Riots and Activists and Freedom. Hello and welcome to the last episode of 2018 of TG Geeks Webcast, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from Happy New Year, people, or almost Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah. So we've got an interesting show for you, so we're just going to get right to it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, we have, in our first segment, Billy Clift and David Milburn, filmmakers of A Long Road to Freedom. This advocate celebrates 50
director,
years.
producer,
director and producer,
respectively,
yeah.
I believe.
And it is really a great interview.
This was such a great conversation.
Yeah, as we said, we've become accidental activists, and this fell in our lap, and we are so proud to have this interview. This Long Road to Freedom film is going to be released in January to the public on several different platforms, so you're going to have to check that out. We got our birthday shout-outs and featured podcast of the week, and everybody's favorite, the feedback section. You still have feedback, right?
Lots.
Okay. We got feedback. And in the second segment, who knows what we'll talk about? We'll talk about something. And then a weekly recap, as well as our follow-up items, as usual. And here we go. And this time we have, on our show, we have two people. We've got Billy Clift, who is the writer, director, and we have David Milburn, who is the producer of the, what was it, Long Road to Freedom, a celebration of 50 years of the Advocate magazine. I'm sorry, I probably butchered that title. So welcome to the show.
Hi.
So
hello.
Yeah. So it is A Long Road to Freedom, a celebration of 50 years of the Advocate. Is that correct?
No. It's A Long Road to Freedom. A Long Road to Freedom. The Advocate celebrates 50 years.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. So I was trying to add more words to it. So
you were making it even bigger.
Yeah, there we go. So that is really cool. So I didn't realize the Advocate started. You know, I mean, I was a young man. So
I was
7. I was 8.
I was.
So we're old farts. So
yeah, but I was just a child at the time.
Yeah, 1967.
Wow, that's amazing. 50 years of the Advocate, because I remember when I was, in fact, one of my high school friends who was the big queen of
the big campus queen,
the big campus queen in my little hometown, gave me several Advocate magazines in 1968. I guess, they just started. I wish I had those now, but...
and you hid them under your bed, didn't you?
I did, as a matter of fact.
The pink pages.
Yeah. So
those were exciting. The pink pages were very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, to a young kid, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, define very exciting.
Learning that there are people out there that desire the same things that you desire.
That's perfect, Dave.
Well, that's true. I mean, yeah, as coming out, the entire coming out process for me, I mean, I remember the first time I walked into a bookstore and found an Advocate, and I started, going through the pages, and my heart was just racing at this whole discovery that, guess what? I'm not this isolated freak of nature. There is this huge community out there that has many of the same passions and drives as me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you have this is a documentary, is that correct? Or
Correct.
And how did this come about? I mean, tell us the story of kind of who you guys are, and then how did this?
And how did you guys get involved in making of this documentary?
Well, it all started with me being very curious about what I had heard about the Black Cat, which was a gay club. I live in an area called Silver Lake in Los Angeles. It's always been somewhat of a gay bohemian area. And there was a club right down the street from where I live right now called the Black Cat. And on New Year's Eve in 1967, a normal New Year's Eve where everybody got dressed up and decided to go out to their little gay bar. And that particular evening, there were 7 undercover cops. Now, of course, it was not unusual for a bar to be raided, as we all know from our history. It was just typical. But they were incredibly terrible that evening. They beat the patrons up like you couldn't believe.
Oh my!
Once midnight came, and of course everybody wanted to kiss, and everybody wanted to kiss for a long time, and be that celebratory clinking glasses, and they beat them. They literally beat them, where they all ran, and they even followed them down the street to another bar, and they beat more people up. It was one of those moments where the gay people who were there, and then, of course, by calling so many people, they would used to do these telephone tags, so to speak. One person would call 10 people, another person would call 10 people, and everybody would find out about it. Everybody got so upset, just freaked, the fact that this happened, that it was so much worse than they had seen. And 2 months later, they had a protest outside of the Black Cat. 300 to 400 people were there, and we do interview one person who was there at the protest, the only one that we could find alive.
Wow.
And he talks about how big of a gigantic thing it was for them to actually be seen and allow people to see them as LGBTQ people, or back then just gay.
Right.
Because everything was illegal for a gay person. You could be kicked out of your home, your work, you down the street, everything. You were truly the worst or lowest common denominator in our world. And so it was incredibly frightful for all these people, of LGBT people, a gay, lesbian, and allies, to be standing there with signs. And I had heard about this, and I realized that no one knows about it except some people here in Los Angeles that I had talked to.
And Ben and Keith, you have to realize that everybody knows Stonewall in '69,
right?
The LGBTQ history. But the story of this documentary, where we take off, Billy said, "Let's expose this Black Cat riot and raid," and that predated Stonewall by 2 years.
Oh my!
So literally, the LGBTQ rights movement started right here in Los Angeles, 67, 2 years before Stonewall.
Right.
And we think of that, it's like, well, maybe New York, was a big mecca in the room. They had a PR push, blah, blah, blah. No, the story of this doc is it started right here in 67, predating it by 2 years.
Yeah, I had heard something about that. I've known, people that have been on both coasts, and several that lived in L.A., and they said, yeah, there was a lot going on prior to Stonewall, and they were kind of, they were a little wrinkled that the New Yorkers got there.
Well, maybe it's
publicized and nothing.
Well, maybe it's just viewed that Stonewall was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes,
maybe.
We can say that, and we don't want to diminish, of course, Stonewall. It's just that there was a whole process of things that occurred before that.
Right.
And this was a big deal. Having that many gay and lesbian people together, that had to have been the first time ever. To have hundreds of them,
right.
We don't know anywhere where there were, and even there weren't that many at Stonewall,
And also in Los Angeles at that time, they were rife with protests, the anti-war, Vietnam War, women's rights. I mean, there were riots on Sunset Boulevard, both in the Strip and also down where the Black Cat riots took place, at this bar.
So they were learning to organize like that. And so they copied actually what they were doing on the Sunset Strip with the hippies, because the hippies had a huge one right around that time as well. against the police because they were constantly being chastised. So, so then to find out that the Advocate came out of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that happen? I assume you explore that in the documentary.
Well, how did the Advocate come out of it? They had what they called a Pride newsletter, which happened even before this, which soon was purchased by Bill Rand, I believe his name was, who later then turned it into the Advocate magazine because he realized that there was nothing out there because nobody was there to write down what had happened at the Black Cat. So there was only verbal, it was only with people talking about it.
Right.
So he realized that we had to be writing this down, bought the Pride magazine, I believe for $1. Am I correct with that, David?
Yes.
Yes. And
then turned it into the Advocate, which became the seminal media of that time. I mean, it's the only media that covered 50 years of this strife, this fight.
Mm-hmm.
And to go along with the story of this documentary, Here TV came on board, opened up their checkbook, and said, "We believe in this idea." And it was Here TV that funded the project, and Billy was off on his way, along with myself as producer. And a year and a half later, this documentary is just now hitting theaters across the country.
That's great.
How did the two of you get attached to it?
We've known each other. We've worked with each other. We did a feature film called Hush Up, Sweet Charlotte together, where he also produced as well as starred in it, along with Barla Jean Merman and a bunch of wonderful, fun people.
Mink Stoll.
Yeah, it's just a fun camp cult, which has turned into a cult film. And so we'd worked on that, and we ended up starting to work on a few other things, like a series he has called Now What? And so they were aware of me, or he was aware of me. We get along so well that it just kind of naturally fell into place, and so
it just felt right, you guys. You know how it feels right sometimes, Ben and Keith.
Right,
Billy
absolutely.
is such a talented writer director, and his style is beyond a reproach. He recreates found footage of that Black Cat raid in 1967, which is so delightful to see. And then everybody started coming on board. Laverne Cox came on board as our narrator. Melissa Etheridge gave us her music because she believes so much in this film. And I believe that it's everybody from Cher to Ellen to Ricky Martin to all this. Bob Greenblatt, then the chairman of NBC, called us and said, guys, I hear this documentary. I want to be a part of it. So we said, okay, Bob, you're the chairman of NBC. We'll shoot you on the new old set of Will and Grace. And later we were shooting him on the new old set of Will and Grace. Armistead Maupin, we were shooting something else up in San Francisco, Billy and I, a show called Underground on Here TV. And we see Armistead walking down the sidewalk. We pull over the van and we get out, and a day later we're shooting Armistead. Just Cleve Jones, everybody, Gavin Newsom, our new governor, everybody wanted to be a part of that. And I think that helped this snowball into this, what I believe will be the seminal movie of our time, of our movement.
Wow.
And that's not only our movement, it is the Black Lives Matters. We get into women's empowerment, transgender issues. So it is, they always say, gay, straight, black, white, same struggle, same fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin Lance Black says this in the film. And that's really what this film is about and what it encompasses.
Wow, that's incredible. So you've only played you've played Palm Springs and a couple of cities, and there's only a couple of dates that are still mentioned in the press release. And I saw previously that Phoenix had a to be determined. When do you have any ideas about when it might have a wider release or some future dates?
We premiered it at the Motion Picture Academy July 19th. 1,000 people. I mean, Gloria Allred was there, and who's in the film, and Bruce Cohn, who's in the film, who, by the way, Bruce produced When We Rise and the film Milk, and he was sitting right next to us, and he turned to us and said, "You got it right. You got it right," which, coming from him, who has produced such great story form of the same subject matter, to get a documentary right really meant a lot to us.
Right.
But this film, we got distribution the next day after this premiere at the Motion Picture Academy. And so we really pulled back on the film festivals because we got the big kahuna in the room. We got distribution. We did do, we'd already promised Cinema Diverse in Palm Springs, and we won the Audience Favorite Award. We were opening night of Cinema Diverse, and we won the Audience Favorite Award from that film festival. And then it, of course, with the rollout starting this week, it's going to play the Camelot there in Palm Springs for 2 weeks. But the rollout is ongoing. We've got, we're at the Lemley NoHo 7 in North Hollywood on Tuesday. But it'll continue to roll out, so I would encourage folks to keep checking your website because you'll keep posting it.
Yeah.
But look out to see what other theaters fall in line.
Cool. And is there a how do I say, wide release other than these individual theaters like that? Or is there distribution for, like all theaters, or is it just playing at some of the what called art houses, shall we say?
Here's what's happening now with independents. Basically, we have our theatrical release, and you'll see that throughout the country. But most people nowadays, and most young people, watch their content on the big streaming services.
Oh, okay.
So now that we've had a theatrical release, look for it January 1st on all the major streaming service and platforms.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Dish, Comcast, it'll be everywhere. And then eventually, after it plays there, Here TV, which funded the entire documentary, will be giving it away for free on their platform, Here.tv. Here TV.
Oh, cool. So be sure and let us know about those dates, or tell Mona or however we want to do this. And we will come out of hibernation because we're going to take a break. But we'll come out of hibernation to post those updates during our vacation time that we're going to take. So
thank you.
That sounds fantastic.
Want to be sure. So what was the I guess the question I'm trying to ask is why this documentary? Well, that's not even a real question because I know the answer to that question. Why this documentary at this time?
Because it's 50 years?
Yeah. But
we don't. I had this vision. I must admit, when I started with the Black Cat, I had this vision that something that we don't have as a documentary or something really written down is a whole overview of the whole fight of the LGBTQ community. Mm-hmm. It doesn't exist. Yes, we have documentaries here. We have bits. We have lots of focuses on certain subjects. But I thought, what we really need, because people don't read books anymore, I'm sorry, it's true, and kids don't read books, is that the only thing they'll do is watch movies. And so I really felt so deeply inside me that we needed an overall view. We needed some kind of thing that could start from using that particular moment in time to now and the possibility of the future. That we needed something to get us excited, to give us a call to action, something that would motivate us to continue the fight. As we all know, some of the possibilities are rolling back, and we can't allow that to happen.
Exactly. Well, you answered the question that I was struggling to get out there, because I guess I was trying to ask, what does this encompass? And you have adequately said that, and this is a history. So you're giving us our history in a single documentary instead of all of the disjointed pieces that we have that are out there. Mm-hmm. This is one cohesive documented history. Yes.
Documentated?
Yes, I just made that word up. Put it in the dictionary.
Well, let's use it. I'll start using it from now on.
There you go.
and also, too, I think it's important to note that because we view the history in this documentary, the third act of this film is all about, okay, youth, okay, young people, we stand on the shoulders of those 80-year-olds that we expose in the film. And, they won't be around for much longer.
Exactly.
But I've learned to celebrate those people, to know and hear those stories. But the third act of the film calls us to action, calls us to say, okay, now we've passed the torch in a way. We're saying, here's where we are, here's where we've been, here's where we are, and here's where we might be if you all do not get out there and celebrate the folks that have come before you. Mm-hmm. So the third act is a call to action to make sure that our rights, our hard-fought rights, are not taken away when we look to the future.
Absolutely.
I agree completely.
Yep.
So I got a question. While I'm putting this documentary together, and this is addressed to the both of you, did at any time each of you uncovered some bit of history or learned something in our history that you didn't know and just completely blew you away?
Well, I mean,
how many of them are there? I guess is the question.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there was quite a few, but is there one that just really stands out that make you say, "Holy cow, I had no idea"?
Well, I'll tell you, one thing that, I don't know how earth-shattering it is, but it sure filled in a piece of the puzzle for me. When we look at the 70s and the sexual revolution and how, as gay people, we were able to just go out there and do what we wanted to do, this is pre-AIDS, Bruce Valanche, a wonderful comedian and writer, says that, it was really because of birth control. Birth control came about in the 70s, so the heterosexual, straight people were able to, live it up because there were no consequences. You didn't get pregnant. So that, he makes a point where that shifted down into our community, saying, if the straights are doing it, we can do it too, and that really made sense to me. That's what went on. That's what I learned.
Yeah, it became a much more free time. I came of age in the 70s, the late 70s, and it certainly was sexually active, shall we say.
Hey, they called it free love for nothing.
Yeah, and I had a lot of free love there.
It's so difficult when anybody asks me that question. It's so difficult for me to answer that question, and I'm sure even David. It's great that you've grabbed one, but we both know that there were so many things in the documentary that you went, oh my God! And what's also been amazing is to have people who do know a lot of our history. And they're going, God, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. And it's also because we got it from the source. We got it from individuals who did it, who actually were there, who actually were the ones out there doing it. And so there were so many shocking moments, I think, in the film that people will be going, wow. And you can imagine our wonderful allies, our straight community, or so many different communities that will come and see this film because they are that type of person that I can't wait for them to have their eyes even more open. That's a major reason why I did it. And by them opening more of their eyes, they're going to have a lot more compassion, right? We start shifting perceptions because they start seeing all the things that we had to go through as well.
Right.
So that's very exciting.
Cher, this major superstar, tells a story that is so personal about Chastity becoming Chaz and how she phoned Chastity's phone machine after Chastity had become Chaz, and she says, how strange it was to hear her daughter's voice. She hadn't changed her phone answering machine outgoing message, so she was hearing her daughter's voice, who now had become her son. And it's moments like that. I mean, I know when Billy and I were putting together a reel in the trailer, there are so many beautiful moments, we cannot choose what moments to expose because they're all just so, they get you in your gut, you know?
Right.
I think that's kind of the best thing you need for a movie like this, because the only way the message is going to come across is if it finds a way to resonate to the viewer. And if it's hitting in the gut, then it's doing its job. That's all I got to say.
And I think that it's important for those people that are our allies to see this film as well.
Yeah.
So
I think that's crucial.
Yeah, because a lot of the allies, they just fully don't know everything that our community has had to go through to get to where we are today and what we still have to accomplish.
Yeah.
And we're not completely leftists either. I mean, we have Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, I think Billy got Caitlyn to expose her transition more so than I've ever seen it anywhere. I mean, she really gets raw and breaks down and cries. Fred Carter, who was the first out gay Republican presidential candidate, talks about his early years as a gay man in West Hollywood and the discrimination there and the shame that he felt. The people are really very authentic and real, and the way Billy has set this doc up is that it's almost like one person is telling you the entire LGBTQ history, because there's a stream of consciousness. It slips from one person to the next, telling the complete story.
Well, on that note, let me ask this. If people want to learn more about this movie, obviously you said, where that it's going to be rolled out, but in the meantime, is there any website, is there any kind of social media presence that they can go to in order to learn more about this very important documentary?
And learn about you as well.
And learn about you guys as well, yeah, sure.
Well, you can certainly go to here.tv, and they're showing little clips of all these little people. So make sure you go there to get the updates on where the film is, the rollout, and also you get a taste of what's in store when you see this lovely film.
As well as there is a Facebook page, A Long Road to Freedom. The Advocate celebrates 50 years. And, of course, if you just want to hear more about me, it's Billy Clift on Facebook, on Tumblr. It's all the same. Twitter, it's all the same. So, I mean, you can follow me somewhere along in there.
Cool.
And what about you, David?
All my work is basically on here.tv. Billy and I worked together on a series I wrote and directed called Now What? We worked together on a travel show called Underground, which Billy directs and writes. There's another wonderful series, Falling for Angels, which we're very proud of. Billy wrote and directed, and I wrote and directed there are 6 episodes on there, half hours, and that's a series that really looks at the different cultural milieu of Los Angeles, of all the different couples, a Korean couple, a black couple, a Hispanic couple, a Silver Lake couple. And it's really a wonderful, tasty series that delves into all the different cultures that makes up the City of Angels.
Cool. Well, that is really wonderful. I wish we had more time to talk to you. And thank you for being on the show this time.
Yes, thank you so very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Keith.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on.
I'm writer-director Joe Ahern, and you're listening to The Two Gay Geeks.
There's a voice I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, Joe Ahern. He was
director of B&B.
B&B, as well as a couple of Doctor Who episodes. Some of the best Doctor Who
episodes of the Eccleston era.
Yeah.
If not of that entire reboot.
Exactly. So here's a few selected birthdays for December 31st, 2018 through January 6th, 2019. December 31st, Anthony Hopkins.
Hello, Clarice.
And John Denver, Ben Kingsley, Val Kilmer, Andrea's husband, Duncan Richoff, and Michelle Romano. And on January 1st, Vern Troyer, Frank Langella.
Oh, my word.
Frank, my God, how did that come out? Frank Langella.
That was awesome.
E.M. Forster, who wrote Morris, and he died at 91.
Wow.
Yeah, so he kept that secret for a long. That was not even published until after he was dead.
Oh, good heavens, I had no idea.
Yeah, because it was still illegal.
It was taboo
in England. It was still illegal to be gay.
Yeah.
So, also on January 1st, Xavier Cugat and Natasha Bryant, a former co-worker of mine. January 2nd, Isaac Asimov, Barry Goldwater. January 3rd, J.R.R. Tolkien, George Martin.
Being that it's just George Martin, I'm going to say the Beatles producer.
Yes. Victor Borga, Ray Milland. January 4th, Sir Isaac Newton, Sterling Holloway.
Oh, my word. That's the original voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, among other things.
Yeah, but I think that's what a lot of people know him for.
Yeah, and speaking of voice actors, Dave Foley. He's been the voice of many, many, many things.
Yeah.
And also on January 4th, Grace Bumbry, a wonderful woman of color who was a spectacular soprano. And a friend of ours, Julia Camera. January 5th, Hayao Miyazaki, Bradley Cooper, Jane Wyman, and George Reeves.
The original, it's Kirk Allen was the first Superman, so George Reeves would be the second Superman. Kirk Allen kind of is, it's more like a series. He was the Superman of the serials,
Yeah,
but George Reeves was the first TV series Superman. What did you look up in the sky? It's a bird. It's playing.
Yeah, something. My brain just derailed there for a moment. Also on January 5th, Canberra Potter.
Oh, everybody's favorite little fembot.
Yeah, and Lisa Penner, a co-worker, and Terry Ross, a friend of ours that we have known since since the soft
opening of California Adventure.
Exactly. And January 6th, Eddie Redmayne, Rowan Atkinson, Sid Barrett.
Oh, my word, of Pink Floyd fame.
Yep, and Terry L. Smith. Happy birthday to everyone. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure.
There's a Cool
How
Squad?
much cool cred do you have?
I'm not on it.
Care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper
Now I got to
cup.
look up that website.
That's why
see if it
you need to
exists.
start listening to Technorama, because that's what
Thinkcool.com.
geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
I think it's a play on Think Geek. So
There is a Think Cool GmbH, but it looks German.
that's German. Yeah.
Yeah. It's about medicines.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a medical website.
Oh, well. It's just a parked domain name.
Well, I don't think so.
Is it just thinkcool.com?
Well, if I go thinkcool.com, it brings up this.
Oh.
So the URL is thinkcool.com.
Well, and interesting. It's not a parked domain name
It's not a park
anymore.
domain name
Oh,
anymore,
darn it.
Chuck. You got to change it.
Well, go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama.
Rama.
And now it's time for my favorite, anyway.
Only because you get to play with a mixer. Like that. And I'm wondering what this is doing to the poor people who are listening to this on their headphones. Okay, so...
Ripping them out.
Yeah, probably. It's like, dadgummit. So, starting off with episode 194, where we interviewed Al Sparrow. And I got a comment from Arkle on YouTube, and he says, does Midnight Pulp... That is Al Sparrow's comic that I'm really intrigued with.
No.
Does Midnight Pulp...
No, not... Midnight Pulp is a... that was from a...
Did I get that wrong?
yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, Midnight Pulp is a streaming service.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know how you got it on one episode. Oh, he was commenting actually about an article.
Oh.
We ran a...
But so then why did he have to comment it on episode 194 on YouTube?
I don't know.
He threw me off.
Yeah, well, that's article.
Thank you. Now I look like an idiot.
That's all right.
Anyway, he says, does Midnight Pulp have Lucio Fulci or Bruno Mattei? If not, pass. Then got a comment from Al Sparrow. This time it really is for episode 194. And he said, this has been like a huge year for me appearing on podcasts. They must all be desperate. I had a fun time.
We were.
I had a fun time talking about how I picked up this obsession with funny books, why I think Supergirl is cooler than her lame cousin. Ouch. And word about another project I'm developing for 2019. Thanks for having me on, guys. Our pleasure. Then got a comment from Keith Byrne. I guess we gave him a shout out for his, was his birthday? I suppose it was.
I don't remember.
And he says, thank you. I'm so happy for you guys. Then I got another comment from Cynthia Ward, and she says, thank you. Again, I think that's for birthday shout-outs. And then I had a review for Bohemian Rhapsody and got a comment from, I'm going to butcher this name, but I'll just say Lisa Penner.
Yeah, just Lisa Penner.
Yeah, and she said, I saw this movie last night, and it was fantastic. I'm glad you liked it. And then Keith had a little review about Black Angus, the restaurant that's up near Phoenix Metro Center, and got a comment from Corey Nelson. She says, comforting to know that Black Angus still stands up over time. It's my favorite place, especially when eating with others. Cute that you like to fix your own potato. I totally get it.
Hey, I have to.
Yeah. And then also Corey responded to a little article about the Amazon ads that are on our website at TG Geeks, and she says, totally okay to have the ads in search. Thank you for being clear about your attempts to limit the impact, but also enable you to provide more content with any financial help we can assist with.
Yay.
And then we ran an article about an evening. We ran this like a month or so ago. An evening with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And got a comment from Joel Harper, and he said, we saw him speak a year or two ago. Very entertaining. And yes, he was. And I'm just like, I want to see more. And then we ran a press release for Death and Cockroaches, a play in Los Angeles. And we got a comment on Instagram from Chalk Rep.
They are the theater where it was
being played at, yes. Mm. And they said, thank you, TG Geeks, for sharing the news of our pending death and cockroaches. Yeah. And pause put in by me. And then, we had a very special review. The problems that arise when they have their boy erased. This is for the film Boy Erased. Wow.
What a film.
What a movie.
I would encourage everybody
see this
to
movie.
go see this.
See this movie and sit it out. It's well worth it. There'll be times where you're going to want to leave, but I beg you to sit through it.
And want to scream.
Yeah, I want to scream. Got a comment from my friend Andy Athey in Texas, and he says, can't wait to see it. My friend John Eisen, he says, thank you for this wonderful review. I've hesitated to see it, but this week, 3 people whom I respect have recommended it. Good. Then I got a comment from Dottie Crone, friend of Keith's. She says, thanks for this review.
Too.
Well, yeah, but you know her from work. Thanks for this review, Ben. Since seeing the Ellen Show have this as a piece a week or so ago, I decided that it was a film I needed to see. I'm embarrassed to say that I never knew conversion therapy was so prevalent. I truly don't understand and feel very sad for those in the situation. And then we got a comment from Hamish Downey about the movie, and he says, thank you for forcing yourself to review the film. I would have been the same, wanting to talk about the evils of conversion therapy. I guess it goes without saying that this is a very different approach than, but I'm a cheerleader, seems similar to another Australian short film, The Manual, starring Susie Porter. I never thought that Joel, that he's the director of the movie, would be as big as he's become. I thought when he left the awesome Australian drama The Secret Life of Us, he was doing a David Carradine. But he's gone from strength to strength since landing a role in the Star Wars prequels. And for anybody who doesn't know, he played Uncle Owen in the prequels. So, and that is our feedback for this time.
Yeah. We want to hear from you, our listeners. You are very important to us, and your comments are very important to us. We want to know what you think about the articles that we run on the website, about our episodes, about anything that we do. Please use the comment section. You can find it at the bottom of each article, at the bottom of each episode. You can comment on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, and any place else that you find finer podcasts. Voicemail. You can... what? Voicemail, yes. It's the voicemail reminder. You can leave us a voicemail.
It's the ghost of voicemail past.
And we'll play it on air. 469-TG Geeks. That is 469-844-3357. And remember, always, please play nice.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
So what do we have? Obviously, there's not much for the rest of 2018 because this was it.
This is it. We want to thank everybody for listening to this podcast, being supportive of the podcast, being supportive of our website, being supportive of us.
I know that there are a lot of people who have been listening to us for a long time they've been silent listeners, and that is fine. We're glad that you are there. Because without you, you're part and parcel of this big success that we seem to be enjoying Absolutely. At the present time.
And I just want to say that this has been a very good 2 years for us.
Very good 2 years.
I mean, we've been at it for 4 years, but the last 2 years we have published an episode every single week for 2 years, and earlier this year in 2018, we started publishing content daily.
Every day.
Oh my God. It was rough at first, but now it's getting easier. We have...
it helps when you have a staff.
Yeah, more people contributing. We really appreciate all of the visits and all of the things. If you think that there's something that might be of interest to us, please, we've got places to comment and a place to send us a message and say, hey, have you considered this? We're always on the lookout for somebody that can contribute something to us. We have talked about wanting to do something around gaming, but we don't have that.
We don't have that experience. It's outside of our wheelhouse, but we realize that there is a very strong subculture in the geek community about gaming.
Of all kinds.
Whether it's board game or video.
Or role-playing or whatever, and we just don't... we've historical role-playing games.
Historical role-playing, and
the
board
original
games,
D&D,
and if you want to talk about board games, Monopoly, Clue, Murder at the Abbey.
Yeah, that was great.
That was great fun.
As a matter of fact, we played that around Christmas 2 years ago.
Was it around Christmas?
Yeah.
I remember that it was a big game thing that Felicia Day was helping push.
It was, I don't know, maybe it was, I don't recall.
But I remember we played it at Menenge's house with Sam Roberts. She's the one who brought it over, and we had great fun.
But thank you for supporting the podcast, and we're going to have some changes in the new year.
Yeah, but these are good changes. We're not radical. Nothing radical.
It's nothing radical. We might have
just some fine tuning,
some new sound clips, and we're changing the website because we need to make it a little more accessible and better laid out so people can find things.
When we say change, we're not trying to create something that will be 90% unfamiliar to you. No.
Small things. Small steps, small moves, Ellie, small moves. Yeah. So thank you for everything that you've done for us, and we will certainly keep you in mind whenever we make these changes, and we do this for you. It's not for us, it is for you, and we thank you for listening.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
We still continue to play that because it is important for people to know that there is a place to call. If you or you know somebody that is in crisis, please reach out for help.
as always, we have no idea what we're going to run.
Exactly.
We know there'll be a new sushi, and we know there'll be a Dr. Zombie, and we know there are going to be reviews
and there will be an episode, yeah.
And there'll be an episode, yeah. And we know there'll be reviews, but we just don't know what those reviews are going to be at this present time. Well, we sort of do know what they are. We just don't know where they will be.
Yeah.
Or when they will be.
Yeah, we've got everything kind of slammed in. We just have to schedule it now. So stay tuned. As always, we have our follow-up items. We've got, check out the widgets on the right-hand side of the page and at the bottom of the page. There's lots of stuff that we support and authors we support and causes we support, so check it out. And we support Arizona Opera. Check out azopera.org for the rest of the season. And check out our restaurant reviews. It's a new category for, well, not new anymore.
It's not new anymore.
It's a category for us. We do restaurant reviews, so check them out. And we're huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or other types of creatives in all forms. Please support independent creators when you see them at fairs and book fairs and cons and festivals and this and that and the other. They have put their blood, sweat, and tears into these things, and they are doing it as an independent nature. So please buy their stuff. Tell other people about their stuff. And if you do decide to buy something, please have cash for them. That would be greatly appreciated. Please support independent creators.
Special shout out to Doctor Who Talking Who on Twitter. They publish the Doctor Who Fancast Guide, which republishes our content. You can find them by searching Twitter at Talking Who. Same goes for Michael C. Burgess. He publishes the Byronix Semi-Diurnal Aggregator that republishes our content from time to time. You can find him on Twitter by searching at Byronic. That is Byronik. And you heard from Arkle a little bit earlier, who tripped me up in a really great way. Tip of the hat to you, Arkle. Thank you. You can find him by searching Twitter at Arkle, A-R-K-L-E, where you can find his Arkle Times Post-Dispatch news. And speaking of Arkle, he has the Shameless Cash Grab. This is a lot of fun. Check it out. He's got a whole big vampire thing going this time for this season.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube.
Yeah.
My tube, your tube, we all scream YouTube.
Yeah.
God,
Arkle Studios.
That was so lame. Yeah, look up Arkle Studios. That's one word. You can find his Shameless Cash Grab on YouTube there. And as always, a special shout out to the Facebook group The Gay Geek for allowing us to post our episodes on their page. And the URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And as always, our special thanks and gratitude to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves, for giving us his blessings to share our content there.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And thank you to everybody that has clicked on the Amazon ads. It puts a few cents in our pocket for some of the things that are bought through the search ads. Certainly not any of the Kindle books that are there, because they just don't pay on that. But that's okay. We support those authors anyway, and it is important for you to buy through us. It tells Amazon that we're getting some traffic. And lastly, we can be found on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on Spreaker, on Stitcher, and other places that you
we
can
still
find
don't know about
finer podcasts. Yes. And you can check out the replay of this episode at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays at Krypton Radio. And please go to iTunes and rate us and review us. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Up next time, I think we have Matt Hayes. Yes, we got Matt Hayes and his new film. That one's going to be a very interesting interview, so stay tuned for that. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page of things we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail, please, at 469-TG-GEEKS, and that is 469-844-3357 from TG Squared Studios. I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and others. Peace.
Cheers.